All right.
All right, we are now live after a bit of green room chat. Azrael and his angel wings just got out the bath just to re-energize himself for our special guest tonight, Dr. Masque. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to hit that go live button. Wait a minute here. We're getting a bit of echo. I wonder what was that from. Let me just check. Yeah, just see. Oh, YouTube's telling me I've gone live. That's always nice. We'll get rid of Sia, who was playing that earlier, and we'll get rid of another tab, and we'll keep our film noir definition for later. Right, that's looking good. Right, back to StreamYard. Right then, here we go. At the stage. Tell you what, we love it when we do that. It's what can you say? It's I think, have we lost Dr. Masque? I think we have lost Dr. Masque. Just after they weren't live too. Right then, we'll get him back shortly, we're sure. Right then. Right then, tonight we have had Dr. Masque briefly on the show. I think he's just maybe his internet connection has timed out. And tonight, while waiting for him to reconnect, the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, it's Azrael with Dr. Masque. Here he is. He's back. Can we add him to the stage? There he is.
We were literally talking about that. Something's going to go wrong. I don't know. For some reason, StreamYard just crashed.
Do you know what? We think we put the curse of Dr. Masque on that one. We did. You know, hey, we can't have Dr. Masque in the studio and not have errant things happen in the great ether.
That's right.
It drives us all through the dark nexus through which we work, and we're currently conversing now. 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live. It's Azrael speaking to Dr. Masque. We just lost the doctor. Now we've got him back. Hopefully he's back for good, to quote that tape back, which I know nothing about. It's art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Besprinkled with Scarlet is the indie comic we're talking about tonight. It's Sunday, November the 30th. A dark, chilly UK evening too. 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That's UK time to you and me. And what should we do next? Well, we'll go to the next slide. Host introduction. Hello there. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys, threading the eyes of a needle with storytelling. I'm your host, Azrael, storyteller and artist, promoter of indie creators, indie comics, and indie comic community. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families. Our motto is to listen, learn, and share. Inspiring quote. Comics are an international language now more than ever. They can cross boundaries and generations, from the UK to the USA through the great ether. Comics are a bridge between all cultures. Osamu Tezuka, legend. And now let's get into it. Guest introduction, Dr. Masque. Mark to his friends, but we're going to call him Dr. Masque tonight. It has more theatre and gravitas. That's right. What we want from this show. We're going to do a bit of prose for him because, you know, generally speaking, creator types are quite shy and self-effacing. Dr. Masque, Retro Elixir at Dr. Masque on X, creator of Edgar Allan Poe's Besprinkled with Scarlet, on campaign Fund My Comics, the select indie crowdfunder for comic books of choice, 1% commission rate. Beat that. Take a journey into the world of Edgar Allan Poe, quoteth we, like never before. Welcome to our enigmatic special guest, Dr. Masque. Hello, Doctor.
Hello. How are you?
Well, it's glad you're glad to be here. We thought to make you feel just a little bit more at home. We put a little bit of red in the presentation, a bit of scarlet, And naturally, we thought, what can we put in our makeup? Like scarlet would be a good color.
There you
Maybe
go.
Mark and Dr. Mask feel at home. Now then, the big five questions. Are you ready for it, Dr. Mask Retro?
I'm ready. Let's
Let's,
do it.
let's embrace the mask. Who is Dr. Mask? What we're can driving at on this show, we listen, the guests speak. So storytelling influences, art journey, movies, and if your business plan could be summed up in one kind of band or song, what would it be? Off you go, sir.
All right. Wow, a band. That would be amazing. Um, so let's just start with storytelling influences. I've ever since I can remember, uh, probably 7, 8 years old, I always had comics. Comics of all kinds. I was It was something that my mom could afford. It wasn't too expensive. So, but we had tons of comics, and I would read anything and everything, from Richie Rich and Casper all the way through Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, the GI Combat. It didn't really matter to me. I loved it all. And kind of from there, um, is when I started, you know, reading more, when you get into high school and stuff, and that's when I was introduced to Edgar Allan Poe, and I loved his stuff. It's just stuff that I just kept going back to and rereading and rereading. Also Ray Bradbury, other. I read a lot of classics because I'm a pretty slow reader. So I said, well, if I'm going to read something, it better be good, and it better. So I tried to focus on classics because that was, if I'm only going to read one or two books a year, then I better make them good. Um, so from there, early on, I knew I wanted to be a writer. Um, and I mean, I looked forward to like book reports and any kind of reports for school. One of my early Christmas gifts was a typewriter, so I could type my stuff up, and so I was totally into that. And in junior high, I had a teacher who, um, one of the options you had for doing reports was you could do a like shooting script for like a movie, and
Okay.
I'm like, "Oh, I'll give that a shot." And I totally loved that. It was like coming up with where the camera was going to be and the angles, and that fit right in with the comic books too. So I did a lot of that. Um, and then I got through high school and I was like, "Oh, I gotta go into filmmaking." And then I kind of decided to stick with reality and get a day job. So I
That's right.
never did that.
Mm,
Yeah, I kept writing, through college and stuff. I wrote a lot of poetry, um, and short stories, and things like that. I continued to write, um, and as far as let's see, influences, I'm not an artist. I learned early on that my drawings weren't very good. And so I'm like, well, maybe I could be an inker, thinking that inkers don't need to know how to draw. I don't know, but but that didn't work out either. So like, well, maybe I'll become a colorist, and you know, I found out I was colorblind. So just slightly, but so
mhm.
I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work out either. So I'm like, I guess I'll just stick with writing. So from there, through college. I was a comic book dealer for a brief period of time too. Um, Influences uh, another big influence on my whole life has been music. Um, Ever since I was probably like 8 years old, and I was introduced to Kiss, which was like the perfect combo of comics and music. Um, it was like superheroes on stage. Um, so from Kiss, it just went on from there into, once I get into like Iron Maiden and um, Judas Priest, Halloween, all the metal stuff. I listen to a lot of different stuff, but metal's, where my heart is. And it's funny how metal, you know, like embraces a lot of the classic, you know,
Yeah.
storytelling and literature. That's like, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I listened to the Iron Maiden song and I'm like, oh, let me read this poem, because otherwise I hadn't heard of it, at the time. So I did love that about metal, especially because not only was it embracing classic storytelling, but I mean, there was just you discover things you never knew before. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that I mean, on from there, I mean, like I loved anthology TV shows like Twilight Zone and um, Tales from the Dark Side and all those horror anthology shows that were on. Um, never really got into Tales from the Crypt because where I lived, I didn't have cable, so I couldn't watch it. So, um, but um, but yeah, that's I think that's a good chunk right there.
Yeah, we like the anthology horrors of the early 70s. For me, for us, they're unbeatable. They have those sting the tail morality tales,
Yep.
where people get their comeuppance if they're a little bit naughty.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And if you're good, you never know, you might survive by the end of it. 70s, it was a bit touch and go.
It's it's been great too because I've discovered, since I've kind of left, mainstream comics as far as reading them, I've discovered a lot of other things and I, recently discovered Hammer's House of Horror. I had never watched that show. Um I'm trying to think of the other ones, but there's been a bunch where I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I hadn't seen these before." So,
The 70s is an untapped gold mine of storytelling.
yep,
A really underrated
for
decade
sure.
where things were raw and without Captain Kirk going crazy and taking over the Enterprise. That's the way we diplomatically put it on this show. We don't do politics, sex, religion on this show. We do drama inside the comics, but we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
huge Star Trek fan too, so
Oh, right here, the original course, and but we do rate DS9 as probably the best organic series, a jewel in the crown.
I
We do like that one.
I do have to go back and watch that. I started watching that. I didn't like a lot of the characters, and just never went back. And I think Voyager was on at the same time as that, or
Yeah, Voyager
so,
we found was a little bit antiseptic. We did watch it with the Lantern Jaw Janeway, but DS9 is a slow burner. The first season or two, you think, not sure I like these characters. Who are they? Where are they going? They're stuck on a space station in the middle of nowhere, and
mhm,
they hammered it for that premise. But when you get to the point, Odo is our favorite character. When you understand a little bit more about him and the Dominion conflict that comes later, and
right.
then you really start. It's usually around about probably tail end of season 2, but probably season 3 where it wakes up. And season 4 is a classic. So we'd say go back to it in your own time, gentlemen.
Yep, for sure.
Right, and one song then. You say you like Kiss, like theatrical metal and heavy rock. What's the one song? You're at a convention in the US of A. What's the one song? You stand there, you're smiling, you're trying to sell Dr. Masque to the passers-by. What's the one song that's giving you the block vocals, foot stomping rock? Which one says, I'm selling my business today?
Wow, that's a tough one. Uh, oddly enough, it would probably be a Man of War song, like Kings of Metal or something like that. It's just something loud and crazy. Yeah,
Yes, you're going into battle. For us,
yeah,
it might
right.
be Queen's Ogre Battle from Queen 2, something like that, where all the band are screaming during the chorus bit, and it sounds like some kind of archaic medieval fantasy battle. You think, what on earth are these guys doing? How did they write this one? But an absolute classic from the one and only Queen 2, which, if you've not have never heard it, we'd say give it a little gentle listen. Side white, side black, amen. It's the one for us. Right then, let's move on. We've got what does Dr. Masque create? Azrael flies over that mere puddle and lands on your convention table by the grace of angel wings. and smiles serenely and asks you, give me your elevator pitch, sir. What do you tell him?
Okay. I'd like to say this is fast, forward a couple of years because this is my first real uh creation. But but Besprinkled with Scarlet is just kind of my love letter to Edgar Allan Poe. I had seen there's been so many adaptions of Poe, and I some of them are good, most of them aren't, you know. And I had seen one particularly bad one recently, and um, I, I'm kind of motivated by negative things, so so I'm like, I know I can do something better than this. And like I said, Poe has been in my my mind for most of my life. Um, so there was that. There was the fact that my son, who's in college now, or I'm sorry, he's going to be going in college, and he has not read any Edgar Allan Poe in school. So that made me sad too. So I'm like, well, let me do something. I want to do like a comic, but not quite like your standard comic. So the best I could come up with is to call this an illustrative narrative, which is it's text from one of Poe's stories or poems with an illustration for that um, particular work, and then it's sandwiched by um, a prologue with Dr. Mask, an epilogue with Dr. Mask, and it's um, he's kind of like the horror host of the book,
Right.
and he also shows up um, in all the artwork throughout the book.
Good.
So um, it's kind of like a hidden picture thing, but sometimes it's more obvious than others. Um, and then I would hope in the future, what I have on tap for the future is this is volume one. I plan to do at least 3 volumes of this. The next one's going to be called A Dream Within a Dream, which will focus more on fantasy type stuff that Poe did, but it'll still have horror. Um, and then I also have a card game that I'm working on based on one of Poe's stories. And I'm also um, going to take those poems that I wrote in college and put them into a book and see how that goes too. So I got a lot of stuff on tap. I also have another comic that I'm working on, kind of a um, I haven't come up with a pitch for that one yet because it's still pretty early on, but it's a mystery.
Hmm. So, Dr. Mask is creating Edgar Allan Poe as a bridge on a personal level to his son, so he may understand your passion. And a shared passion is good family building, isn't it? It's good family business.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And it will help him understand you. And it'll also, in a way, help you understand him because, it's through those storytelling connections, that we can traverse, yes, time and space, but we can reach people on a personal level through that time and space, even though sometimes family can be very close, sometimes they can be very far away, but it's stories that create those shared bonds, between
Yep.
families, friends, and strangers alike.
Yep, 100%.
Right then, movie voice time. Do you want to do it, or do you want to do it? We have a proud tradition on this show, getting people to read out their own work on this show. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Uh, um, at the Athenaeum, all are welcome, and if you can find it, you may search the vast library for answers. Dr. Mask, your host and curator of the library, guides you through the twisted mind of Edgar Allan Poe, presenting scenes from some of Poe's greatest stories done by some of today's finest independent illustrators in a 28-page comic book. Dr. Mask introduces you to the world of Poe and accompanies you through some of Poe's greatest stories brought to you in black, white, and scarlet.
Excellent. That's what we like. We love it when creators Creative leaders do that, and that's what we refer to our followers on X and other platforms. We don't call you followers, we call you creative leaders. And our in-house expert tonight is Dr. Masque. We like that. This is the cover. Tell us more about it, please, Dr. Masque.
Yeah, it's done by Ricardo Jaime. He also did an interior for sorry. He did an interior for Fall of the House of Usher. And I was kind of looking for a cover. I was having a hard time. Either people that I wanted to do it couldn't do it, or I wasn't 100%, digging what I had or what I saw or whatever. Um, so I saw the interior and I'm like, okay, dude, you got to do the cover, So I sent him an idea what I wanted. He came back with 3 like thumbnails of it, and I picked one, and he said, I really like this other one. I'm like, okay, well, just go with it, just see how. So this was his, they were all basic. They were all the woman reading the book with the stories coming out of the book, and Dr. Masque was going to be in the picture. He had Dr. Masque a little more prominent in this one than the one I had picked, but it turned out awesome. He was 100% right, and it turned out great.
We like the way you trusted your artist there and gave him the reins. And one thing we found out from Master Dave Brink at Genuine Comics last week was the amount of trust and faith he puts in his artists and how much more he gets back because of that faith and trust. And you create this synergy and trust building, and then the relationships start to build for future comics and in the editions. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
We have to say we love this montaged emanation from the book,
Yeah, I was having a real hard time coming up with a concept as far as, because it's multiple things in the book, and I'm like, so this is one of the ones I came up with.
We'll call this montage projection. I think we think montage from our time in doing our computer animation masters, was we found that montage is quite obviously from black and white era, but it's quite historic in terms of conveying emotions and multiple concepts at the same time. So yeah, I think you were going with your arts on this one is pitch perfect. It's a great looking cover. It's rich. It's multifaceted in a narrative way, and it's sophisticated. That's what it is. Now, trailer. Can we get the trailer going? Let's see if we can. Do you think we can? Let's do it. Right. Hope so. Wait a minute. No, just remember how this goes. You have to take this off temporarily, and then you have to put this onto the stage. And now you press play. Tell you what, we like that. Great job. Who did your trailer?
Pedro Ang. I can't remember his actual real name, but he's on he's done a lot of trailers for the indie guys.
I see. So he's if he's doing that, he's getting lots of work, we guess. Yeah, very effective, very atmospheric. We like the music that went with it and the previews.
Yeah, it took a while for me to find the music I liked. I
Tell us
did.
more about the music. Go on, let's hear it.
No, I do like. I wanted something more metal, but I couldn't really find something I liked. So this worked well. It kind of like that eerie, and then it kind of built, and the chanting, just reminded me of a horror movie. So yeah, it was cool.
We say, gotta have it.
Yep.
Gotta have it. Maybe if you do shorter introits later, you can find a bit of metal that just hits that M spot for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. This one. Can you read that?
I don't think so.
Well, we can, and because we've just zoomed in StreamYard, and get comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. This is our first widescreen long-form read ever on the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live. You think we're joking? We're going to do it. So let's get comfy, folks. We've got our heater on in our attic galleon studio, and that's the only thing that's stopping us from freezing to death. That and our lovely red makeup light. So here we go. We're going in. Never bet the devil your head. 1850. Through this latter most ungentlemanly practice, the ruin which I had predicted to Toby Dammit overtook him at last. The fashion had grown with his growth and strengthened with his strength, so that, when he came to be a man, he could scarcely utter a sentence without interlarding it with proposition to gamble. Not that he actually laid wagers, no. I will do my friend the justice to say that he would as soon as have laid eggs. With him, the thing that was mere formula, nothing more. His expressions on this head had no meaning attached to them whatever. They were simple, if not altogether innocent expletives, imaginative phrases wherewith to round off a sentence. When he said, "I'll bet you so, and so," nobody ever thought of taking him up, but still I could not help thinking it my duty to put him down. The habit was an immortal one, and so I told him it was a vulgar one. This I begged him to believe. It was discountenanced by society. Here I said nothing but the truth. It was forbidden by Act of Congress. Here I had not the slightest intention of telling a lie. I remonstrated, but to no purpose. I demonstrated, in vain. I entreated, he smiled. I implored, he laughed. I preached, he sneered. I threatened, he swore. I kicked him. He called for the police. I pulled his nose, he blew it, and offered to bet the devil his head that I would not venture to try that experiment again. Poverty was another vice which the peculiar physical deficiency of Dammit's mother had entailed upon her son. He was detestably poor, and this was the reason, no doubt, that his expletive expressions about betting seldom took a pecuniary turn. I will not be bound to say that I had ever heard him make use of such a figure of speech as, "I'll bet you $1." It was usually, "I'll bet you what you please," "I'll bet you what you dare," or "I'll bet you a trifle," or else more significantly still, "I'll bet the devil my head."
Very nice.
Why, thank you, Dr. Masque. We actually practiced that earlier a little, and we thought one of the two of us is going to read this. I fancied shall I say, shooting my our shot on that one. So tell us about this combination. Obviously, in The Watchmen, it was classic Alan Moore, who had so much narrative love in terms of the detail he gave Dave Gibbons on The Watchmen, but also those classic articles that were written in prose. Tell us about this this text and picture format you've included in your book.
Yeah, I was looking, like I had said earlier, I thought there was like a ton of adaptions of Poe, you know, and reprints of Poe and everything. So I wasn't looking to do the same thing again. So I picked out things that I liked. I picked artists that I thought would go well with them, or at times I would say, "Hey, this is I'm doing a Poe book. Is there any particular Poe stories that you're interested in?" And they come back. There was some that I had in particular mind. This one, I had something particular in mind. Preston Acevedo did the artwork. Um, but as far as that, I was just looking to do an excerpt from the story, an interesting part of that story, and then putting a drawing with it. Um, this one I kind of had, like I said, a specific thing I wanted in mind with him sitting at a table with the four heads. And at the same time that I was working on this book, I've been working on a game with the same name. So, yeah, so that's where that came about. You
Uh,
know,
what we like about this is, you're giving us people like books a chance to get a bit of book, a bit of narrative density. You're giving extra in a sense. And then you've got obviously illustrations from a time when, when the comic format was still in that primordial stage of chaos, figuring out, right, okay, how can we combine prose and illustrations? And
mhm,
eventually it metamorphosized into comic books, yes, as we know them, yeah. Oh, hello. We've got Tim the Passion Olsen in the chat tonight. Welcome, sir. He's got his own book out.
nice,
Melvin, we backed issue 3. Love that cover. And he's got himself a great slick artist in there as
yeah,
well. He's
nice,
going for that John Carter, Warlord of Mars vibe, we think. Yeah. And
nice.
so, yeah, but we like this format you've got here of text and illustrations, because if you're an artist, you can appreciate it. If you're a book lover, you can appreciate it. And if you're a comic book lover as well, you could perhaps get a triform demographic. People like a little bit of each thing, that
Yep.
might be prudent in a sense. We sense that you might pick up readers who become really diehard about this, especially, of course, the Poe diehards as well. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, and if you just like good artwork, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's some awesome art in here.
Absolutely. Now then, tell us about this image. This one is evocative with that red moon rising.
Yeah, this is for the poem "The Lake." Um, this is by Jim Whitting, who also helped me a lot in the book. He's done a lot of graphic design with me on the book, and kind of help me create the look, because I wanted this like frame around the text and the artwork to kind of tie it all together. And so he did this one. As you can see, Dr. Masque is front and center on this one. Um, and I had a completely different take on this poem than he did. Um, and he came back with this. I'm like, oh, I mean, mine was fine, but his was just much better. So I'm like, okay. So we went with that. Yeah, just a poem, a quick poem about a lake that he used to go to. And um, as with a lot of Poe stuff, it does have like a dark feeling to it as well. So
Do you know what? Tim's just kind of planted the seed of a thought in our head. He's saying that image is metal, and we just wondered if Edgar Allan Poe was primordial metal, sowing the seeds of the metal to come. I mean, give Edgar Allan Poe and surely this must have crossed your mind, crossed our mind anyway. If you give Edgar Allan Poe a guitar, an amplifier, and some dirge chords,
He's
you
doing
know,
some metal for
doing some
sure.
metal, isn't he? Yeah, that's kind of what we thought we'd kind of gently push away, you know. I mean, he's well regarded. You know, I mean, we haven't obviously we've got the Vincent Price, is it Red Mask of Death and House of Usher and all these kind of Hammer House style
Yep.
adaptions, yeah. And I guess you've seen Vincent Price with the different coloured rooms, which are so rich and evocative. You've seen that one.
Yep.
What do you think of that one?
That is it's not my favorite Poe adaptation, but it's probably my second favorite Poe
So,
adaptation of anything. Yeah.
so your second, that's your second favorite
Yep.
with this price. I mean, it's exquisitely done. It's that kind of masquerade of duality, yeah, of who we are, yeah, and who
Yep.
they are, yes. Are they us? Are we them? So what's your absolute favorite? Because we'd certainly sit down and watch Vincent Price, The Red Mask of Death again.
Yeah, I would watch Vincent Price do a commercial, you know. Yeah, I love that guy. But no, my favorite one right now is there's a YouTube channel called Poe Movies. They do short movies, and they did a version of Mask of the Amontillado, and it's amazing. You know, it's like 15 minutes long, 18 minutes long, something like that. And it's just they captured the story perfectly. So yeah.
If you link that to us in our DMs, we'd really appreciate it. You
Okay.
know, that
Yeah.
would be fantastic, and we'd like to see that for ourselves. You know what I mean? Our last literary jump. It took us. You say about being a slow reader. It took us 2 years to read. It was Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged.
Ah.
And small print, which kind of by lamplight as well. So we were giving our eyes a beating as hey, helped us get to sleep. No question. We did it a page a night.
Nice.
Night.
Yeah.
We got there in the end. And the reason what motivated us to kind of speed up a bit, otherwise it's probably taken 5 years to read it, was when a female colleague said, I'm going to read that now. And I bet you I can finish it before you. And we thought, no way. She's beaten us to the finish. We're halfway through Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. There's no way. I won't say a girl's going to beat us. I'm sure I didn't think that. But there's no way, having started, we're going to be beaten by a colleague.
Nobody likes a braggart, right?
Well, absolutely not. So we had to get our stiff upper lip, apply ourselves to task. And we remember going and say, have you finished it yet? Having read the last page ourselves, what was it, about 1,400 pages of small print?
Wow.
What a beating, man. What a beating.
I'm a short story guy.
You're a short story guy. Don't blame you. Can you just hear the driving beat of a heavy metal song looking at that? You know what, Tim, the Passion Olsen, we absolutely agree with you. It takes Lady of the Lake to a whole new level, doesn't it? Just, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that movie is almost 22 minutes long. So
22 minutes long. We'd like to see it. Now you've got us intrigued.
Yeah, it was very good. And the beauty of that Mask of the Red Death movie, and the casual fan might not know it, but they took another Poe story, Hop Frog, and they put it into that, and it works great. You know, it works magnificently. Yeah.
Was it a subsequence or is just woven into a narrative?
It's woven into it. That the short little guy, Hop Frog. There's the whole revenge arc with him. That's all. Yeah, that's a separate story. So
tell you what, now we're gonna have to watch the Red Mask of Death again. We'll be looking for that now, you know, as well as watching the one you sent us via.
Yeah, just read this. Just read the story, Hop Frog. I don't think it's that long. It's probably maybe like 4 pages or something, you know. So
after we get done with Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, because in Britain we're way past 1984, we can't say any more than that. Just speak to our lawyer. Are we allowed to make any hints or thoughts as to the current climate? No, we can't. Sorry, we retract our former statement. We're saying that we're reading Aldous Huxley. No reason.
Yeah.
We just flip it on. Right then, tell us about this lovely dramatic, black and white. It's November at the Five Pillars of Storytelling. We've been consistent all month, and tonight we're going to post one more noir, the final noir. We're going to miss November. It's the first time we've done it as a challenge, and we have to say, looking at this is primordial noir at its finest. Tell us about this lovely Gothic image.
Yeah, this is the first panel of the comic. This is where he lives, and this is how there's only two pictures. There's only two pages of sequentials, so I didn't want to spoil everything, but it gives you a sense of what's going on. Immediately something that's how I feel about storytelling. Is I want something going on immediately. I don't want 20 minutes of talking about it. So immediately something happens, and you see from there. So
if you want to get into it, you got to get into it, just
right.
like the Hawkman song says.
Especially when you only have 2 pages.
Gotcha. So the format of your indie is very much anthology. So you've got to really, each story's got to count. To me, it's got to get into it quick. We grew up with Marvel UK comics, and it was super anthology. They were the Marvel UK. They were the UK wing of Marvel Comics. And basically, you had, let's go back in our time, a little bit of think about it, Spectacular Spider-Man Comic Weekly, God bless our guiding star. And Spider-Man at the front. Then it was Fantastic Four, John Buscema, Ross Andrew on Spider-Man. And then it was Iron Man. And I think that was followed by Daredevil, and then Thor, also by John Buscema. I think Gil Kane was doing Daredevil, and we can't quite remember at the moment who was on Iron Man, because we reached that age where occasionally we have a moment and go, I should know that, but I can't remember.
I hear you.
But anthologies we're familiar with, and they were black and white because obviously it was cheaper to print.
Right.
But really nice color cover and that, and what it gave you was 4 or 5 pages of each thing. So it was a bit Party Susan, you know what I mean? So it maintained your interest. Is that at the back of your mind when you're doing your indie?
Well, I'm very short story driven to begin with. So, a lot of the comic stories that I've written outside of this, they might be 6 pages. I actually have a 2-page horror story. This is more like an intro and an epilogue, so it's a little bit different. But it doesn't have a story per se. It has a little bit of a story to it, but it's more to talk about Poe. But I technically can't call this an anthology because most of the stories aren't complete. It's kind of like to give you a taste of Poe, because originally when he was published, a lot of his stuff was done like this, where he'd have a couple of pictures and then whatever the work was that he had done. But the lake obviously is a poem that's complete, and the oval portrait is pretty much complete. And the rest are just excerpts from the stories, and we can talk a little more about that later. But yeah, my idea was, okay, this will give people a taste if you really, because in my opinion, of all the Poe, and I've read a ton of Poe adaptions and Poe centric stories and movies and TV shows, and the original is always the best. So
absolutely. And do you know what? Probably any art lecturer or teacher will say you cannot go wrong with black, white, and spot red. It is just something so effective about it, isn't there? Whether it's horror or even a superhero comic, there's something about that color red that maybe it's the red for danger. Puts us on alert.
This is Christian Rossi, who's amazing, and Dave Kemp did all the interior reds, and Keith Gleason did the lettering on the interior. So
Keith Gleason, is that the guy who does the Mighty Mascots?
He is.
Oh, we like his books. We like his Mighty Mascots is pure joy itself.
Oh, I love it.
All
Yeah.
ages joy. Absolutely love it. Great
Great
guy.
book. Great book. Yep, for sure.
Tell us about this one. And if you want to read the speech balloons, we won't hold it against you.
Hello and welcome to the. I have trouble with this word too. And Anthony, I am the curator and your host, Dr. Masque, and this is Thule, a raven, my colleague and friend. Caw, caw.
Top marks. That's the way we like it on this, Joe. Amen to that. That is, and again, just look how obviously for speech, sound effects, and just the spot colors on Dr. Masque's robes and garments, it just adds so much theatre. You know, your eyes are pulled to it. It's a great color anchor, you know, in terms of the
Yep,
composition.
for sure.
Very effective style. Who's the artist again on this style? Very unique.
Christian Rossi.
Christian Rossi. Great job. Great job.
He's awesome.
Yeah, it's just it's so pure. It's so pure. Tell us about now. We've seen a little bit of the interiors. We know it's in a kind of prose and illustration format. Tell us about your alt covers. We've got the main cover in the middle with that lovely montage of all the concepts, the Poe book. But tell us about books B and C and so forth.
So the cover B is a homage to Midnight #1, which is a comic from 1957. I always love this cover. Not many people probably know what it is, the original, but every time I look at it, I'm like, this is Poe. You know, you've got a black cat, you've got the clock, you've got, just the whole look of it. I'm like, so I just had him read. This is Greg Murray, and actually Dan Kemp did the colors.
Greg Murray, he often posts his recreations on X, doesn't he? He's excellent.
Yep. I reached out to him, and yeah, he did this. We had to tweak it a little bit. The one corner had the Comics Authority code on it, and I didn't know it at the time, but somebody actually owns that, so you have to pay them to use it. So, so I took it off. Somebody said you could redraw it and do your own version of it. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll do that next time. But yeah. And
the little things that you find out though, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're actually, somebody still owns that, even though it's probably 50, 70 years ago and should be public domain by now. I think the corporations have had way too much leverage. It's probably the reason why some of the smarter creators actually go pre-1930s for their inspiration. It's because just so you don't get tangled up on I own the toenail of some IP or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yes, people need respecting for the intellectual property, but when you look at the big corporations who own all sorts of things and they're still hanging on to them over 70 years later, you think, well, come on, you know what I mean? At some point, you have to refresh the creative pool so creators can be born again,
Yep.
Otherwise you get the not so big two anymore, revamping and repeating, and eventually they'll lose readers like Dr. Masque Retro and our good selves. But the good news is we can go straight to indie comics and create our own version of a refreshed creative pool. You know what I mean? With a little bit of nuance. I'm thinking, well, do we really need to use the superhero trademark if we can come up with another one? I'd just call them heroes. You know what I mean? Or metahumans, as Dave at Genuine Comics calls his superheroes. By the way, that superhero trademark is now lapsed. DC and Marvel no longer own it, we don't think. I don't think we're speaking out of turn to say that.
Really?
So, all right. So you've got covers A, B, and C. And we'll shout out to Greg Murray for providing the artwork.
Yep. Yes. And the cover C is for the newsprint version. So there's a limited run of newsprint. There's 100 individuals, and then some set aside for the all-in-one bundles and the triple bundles. So there's about 150 of them that are going to be printed. So,
right then, we love it when we see this. merch. We see so many campaigns that do not include t-shirts, and it is mystifying to us. You want to hit goal? How do you do it? £20 t-shirt. Okay, half of it goes to the person that printed it. But if you do print on demand, like Redbubble and so forth,
Yep.
there's probably about 4, 5, maybe 10 of them out there. Get them, each one of them, to send you a t-shirt and test it for quality. Yeah.
Yep.
As a
For
sample.
sure.
And then, right, this one's too thin. He's out the door. This one's cool. It's premium, but it's too expensive. But this one in between sits right in terms of affordability for our indie comic audience, and in terms of durability. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're offering it. Do you mind saying who you went with? You don't have to.
It's I have a couple in mind, so but it'll be good. It'll be good quality. I wouldn't do it otherwise. But
So the t-shirt then is for you a walking billboard, and it gets lots and lots of people to talking and seeing your product. At least plants the seed in their head, if nothing else. Yeah.
yep.
There's a reason
Yep.
why people used to walk around with placards in New York City. And this is it. This is the modern day placard, isn't it? And
Yep.
corporations who can get us mere serfs, those corporate slaves wandering around in their merch, got it
Yep.
made. That's how they
100%.
make their millions. Yeah, and it's
My
how we can take some crumbs from their table. Yes.
Yep. Yep. My uh my father used to have problems with that too. He'd be like, "Ah, you're out there advertising for free. What are you doing that for?" I'm like,
We hear him. But anyway, tell us about these two t-shirt variants. Anyhow,
so it's Christian Rossi. I actually was having him do this for the Fund My Comic, because a lot of the creators will do a picture holding the Fund My Comic logo, which looks like a book. And then once I saw it, I'm like, "Do you think you could do that with like an Edgar Allan Poe book?" He's like, "Oh, sure." So, and then once I saw it, I'm like, "This has got to be a T-shirt because I love this thing." So even if nobody else buys it, I'm gonna buy one. So
hey, buy one for yourself. We would, you know what I mean? That's the way to do it. I mean, you walk around in that, you're going to be the smartest pop culture guy on your street. Yeah.
everybody likes skulls too. So
Well, that's it. You know, we had John Dexter on the show twice, as a matter of fact. And you know what? He does his alpha dogs. And we said to him, it's not going to be long before you're a millionaire. And he was looking at us a little bit inquisitively. And we said, well, half the planet owns a dog, and the other half likes cats. So you've got 4 billion people that are a potential market audience. This goes beyond indie comics.
yeah, for sure.
And you can put your indie comic in pet stores. And then it's beyond just comic shops, isn't it? You know, you've got
Yep.
people who won't buy a comic, but they'll buy your comic because they're a dog lover. And it's if you can get into that mindset of, well, people like skulls, and that's why I selected this T-shirt. It makes perfect sense, and that's why your Dr. Masque is the perfect character.
Yeah.
What did we like drawing from Top Trump's horror top trump cards when we were young? The skeleton. Out of
Yeah.
all the characters, the skeleton, which was as complicated as hell to draw because of all the bones in the human body. Yeah. But yes, that was the real artistic test. Can you draw a skeleton? So yeah, perfect choice. So you've got a choice of two. Well, we'll get to the price.
It's only one. It's just the black one. Yeah.
Just the black one.
Yep.
Right, we'll move on because we want to come back to your tiers in a moment. But we just wanted a close look on the merch before we discuss the commercial side to go the artistic side. We always like to balance the show between art, which is great, but sometimes in the indie comics community we lose sight of the fact that it's got to be a business. You've got to treat it as if you could walk into a bank tomorrow and say, right, here's my deal. Right, can I have a loan? And you got to be able to, if you can convince a bank manager, then you've got business common sense. So here you've got badges and trading cards. Tell us more about them, please, sir.
It's just a pin. I just kind of made it on a lark. But it's the symbol Dr. Masque has on his chest. I don't really want to talk about it too much. But I will say Luke Stone, he helped me create the look of, to bring my ideas and horrible drawing to life, So the costume design and the symbol. I had a symbol that was basically like this, and I was like, this is what I'm looking at, but maybe you can do something better. And he came back with that. I'm like, this is amazing. what he ended up doing with it. So if you do some research, I don't know, maybe you could throw it into AI and you could figure out what it means. But at this point, I'm not going to tell anybody what it means. So
We like that, giving your audience credit for having to work their imagination. These days, we get spooned for that much. In the 70s, there's none of that. There was a little bit of mamby-pambying. If you fell over, then you might get a bit of TLC. But these days, there's no. Sometimes with the movies, you get that 20-minute download. Everything has to be explained so literally. And we like the fact that right now that's a mystery, and we think, right, it's couched in shadows and darkness and obscurity. Love it. And you've got the trading cards as well.
Yeah, well, that there is the promo card. If you signed up for the campaign before it went live, everybody got a free one. And that's Elliot Rodriguez did the artwork. The logo was done by Luke Stone as well. So yeah, that's that one. There's another trading card coming that I'm working on. I don't know if you saw that I had an art contest. So
you didn't catch that one. Go on, tell us.
Yeah. So Omer, I forget his last name because he has a different handle on X, but he did the gentleman that won is his name is Tarm Hell on X, but he did an amazing scene of Dr. Masque and Thule standing over looked like a woman had died and it was just a skeleton laid out on a table. She had fallen forward on the table. Amazing picture. But Omer had done a picture of Dr. Masque in a graveyard, and he had also done another one too as well for the contest. And I like that one as well. So I want to do a card for the one. So I'll be adding that to the campaign very soon.
Do you know what we think? We look at those sketch cards, and you know what we think? Top trumps, horror cards. That's your game right there. The trading cards become top trumps. Yep. Just saying, you didn't hear it from us. Just word on the street from our hive mind. Azrael thinks top trumps. Those are too good. They remind us fondly of the top trump.
Yep, 100%.
I'll just go Fear Factor 99. We're winning this one. Unless he's got King Kong and it's Fear Factor 100, he can't beat us.
Nice.
Physical strength. 87, high chance of winning this one. We think we can beat Dr. Masque on this one, but he comes up with physical strength 92. We didn't think that our skeleton would be that weak compared to his gargantuan.
Right.
Going back to the report, there were two packs of horror that must have been popular, and we had both. And eventually, what are you going to do? You're going to mix them up, and we ended up with a 50 card game. We ended up with a 100 card game, which, well, anyway. But hey, that's just our humble seed planted.
Nice.
Tell us about the one next to it, the Scarlet promo.
That's what I was just talking about, the promo. The sketch cards, those are all done by Jim Whitting. Kevin Conrad also has some on here, and he's kind of like.
We're going to come to him in just a moment.
Okay.
On the merch tiers, because we're going to get right to the tiers in detail.
Okay.
Tell us about this drop dead gorgeous, super detailed artwork. You've got, is that an inked edition, and then you've got the pencils to the right.
Right. Yeah. So Preston's original is on the campaign. You can buy that there. And the original for Masque of the Red Death, the pencils by Richie Acosta. He has his stuff digitally inked, so there's no inked original. So this is it. It's the pencils. So if you're interested, if you like original art, this is there's a lot on here you can get. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the artwork speaks for itself, yeah? And that is merch that will come at a premium, of course.
Yep.
Now then, we couldn't resist. We tried to get as much of your tiers on here. Now, obviously, at the top, we kind of stopped at the top there. You've got digital and then the paper edition represented by that cover. And then you said you've got the newsprint edition next. Tell you what, You're the guy that knows. Why are we explaining it? You tell us. Work through it. Take us through the tears, Dr. Masque Retro.
Okay. So there's the, you can buy the individual books, which is, the cover A, cover B, with cover C, which is the newsprint. It's a little bit higher for the newsprint since it's limited. The buttons is $5. You can get the original art. The Jim Whitting, the full color werewolf. He decided that he was just going to draw 10 cards, and we just put those out there individually, so you can grab those. Those are one done. And as you can see, they're full color. He did a great job on them. The one below is the Kevin Conrad. He's doing it. You tell him what you would like, and he'll draw it. And it's going to be black, white with a little bit of color, not as much as Jim's, but a little bit of color on that one.
Bit of spot color and commission, basically.
Yep.
Cool.
And then you get your T-shirt, which is a tagless. And I should stress this too. Everything is made in the U.S. So that there's that. But the T-shirt, it's going to be a good quality T-shirt. I wouldn't sell junk. So I think this is where some people are short-sighted. They're trying to save money, but if I buy a T-shirt from you and it's low quality, am I going to buy another T-shirt from you? So you got to play the long game.
You got to play the long game, absolutely.
Yep. So, and then that's the all-in-one pack. So you'll get the 3 books, a T-shirt, and the button. And I don't remember the price. Right. But you do save a substantial amount of money. Any of the all-in-ones you're saving, probably like 20% off. So
what we like is you've got options for people. The PDF gives people a low ramp into your IP. Yeah.
Yep.
You let them in, but you're letting the people with, a wallet that stretches a little bit further go for original artwork or the bundle, or to grab a T-shirt. People might even grab a T-shirt but not go for the book. You get football fans, they'll wear a T-shirt because it's a famous football club, but they might not attend the actual matches. A, because they can't get in the ground because it's a popular team, but B, because they want to be associated. That's a team that they support, but they just can't get to. But they want to be associated with supporting it because they do support it. Yeah. So it's in terms of true fans, if you can get 1,000 of them, that'd be great. You've got yourself a standard of living there, haven't you? You can get 1,000 of people buying your book or your IP, and so you're allowing people who will stick with the core concept, and then you've got people who will buy the merch of your core concept, and everybody in between there. You're giving your potential customers options, a way in. No.
Yep, for sure. Yep. And that's, part of my plan too with this is, you talked about different audiences, and you have this T-shirt up. There's people that aren't into comics, aren't into whatever. They're going to see that. Another thing is there's, I don't know if there's 3 or 4. There's at least 3 Edgar Allan Poe museums, not terribly far from me. And so I'm going to be working with them to try to get the book into that. So I think you're right. You can, there's going to be people that if you play, if you do things right, you're going to have people that cross over.
And it's getting that crossover, isn't it? Or in your case, an Edgar Allan Poe museum. It's not a traditional comic book museum, but it's what you're selling is Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
The actual wrapper for that, if people are Edgar Allan Poe fans, they won't mind that it's a comic. They'll pay to get a museum. They might pay to wear your T-shirt or to get your comic book. Yes, because their purity in terms of how they feel about this particular writer is all about him. And there might be collectors, people who just like his work and want to see different literary adaptations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like another person we've had on the show twice, Heather Veely. She actually went out and did her own pub tour and actually persuaded pubs to hold her, because She likes a glass and probably has a glass of beer with a boyfriend, and has gone on a tour of pubs. So we thought, what a splendid idea. We did new to ourselves, actually, many years ago, that with the opening up of microbreweries and
Mhm.
micropubs, that, well, people who grew up with the Bronze Era of comics would like a pint and to sit and read a comic, maybe. Get your indie comics in there, talk to them, at least start that conversation, yeah?
Yep, yep.
It's all about seeking non-traditional. We lament the lack of newsstands, but the micro pubs, the museums, dentist waiting room, instead of those rich lifestyle magazines, your comics could be there. That's the new newsstand. Let's, at the wild frontier of indie comics, think differently and challenge the traditional stranglehold and gatekeepery. Gatekeeper, crypt, horror apology. Just couldn't resist, huh? That was actually an accident. That one, unintentional. And but we can create a new newsstand frontier defined
Mhm.
by us. Yes, new ways of thinking. Every indie creator that's come on this show, Dr. Mask, has had their own idea about color, format, pricing, merch, etc., business plans. Yeah, but the one thing they all have in common is passion, courage, and conviction.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. Now then, tell us about your creative team. We had a little bit of a thing to try and fit this all in here, but we kind of went with this in the end, and obviously we couldn't resist a bit of spot red on
It
the titles. Tell us all about your creative team then.
okay, it's quite a team, and I I'm just, amazed at all these guys, um but we can just go through, Robert Geronimo. He did, Descent into Maelstrom, and if you look at those little, I was trying to give a little taste of the artwork without giving it all away, so, um but he did a Descent into Maelstrom, um, which he's known for doing Blood Realm, if you know that book. Um,
Yes,
out
Blood Realm.
Blood
Yes,
Realm,
we,
yeah.
we backed his comic. Yes, Blood Realm.
Yeah. Yeah, he does great stuff. And it just keeps this he did this one from a year ago, and then I'm looking at the stuff he's doing now and I'm like, this is even better, It's just amazing,
Dr. Mask, while we have that other seed, we went with the Top Trumps horror suggestion. We've got another one for you. Do you know that Robert Geronimo did a red vinyl edition?
I do. I have it. Yes.
You have it. Oh, by the gods have blessed you. We undernowed so much, we ran out of time, and we wanted that so much.
Oh
Red
yeah.
vinyl edition, we wanted it so much. Now you know what we're going to say, don't you? You're into heavy metal, aren't you?
Yep, yep,
You're into Edgar Allan Poe.
yep.
Get yourself a singer, get yourself a guitarist, rock out some Dr. Mask heavy metal vinyl. Once you decide or find the band, you could commission them if they're an indie metal band.
Yep.
Just plant that another seed. That's 2 suggestions so far. Let the seeds grow in your subconscious.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Anyway,
Um
back to the creative.
yes. So Alexei Gorbut, who he posts a lot of stuff on X that I had seen, and he does a lot of fantasy stuff. But I love his stuff and I love his colors. He does kind of like these, I forget what you call them, the black light posters, kind of like, colors. But I'm like, well, he does fantasy. I'm sure he could do something more retro. And so he did the Black Cat. Um, just to stop for a second, but I did kind of say earlier, some of these guys I talked to and said, "Hey, I want you to do something. Is there anything in particular you want to do?" Some of them would come back and say, "Yeah, I'd love to do this one," or some would be like, "That doesn't matter. Do you have some, maybe some to pick from or whatever." So it depended on the artist, and some guys were just super passionate about the piece that they wanted to do, so which was cool. But anyway, the lake, Jim Whitting did that one. We talked about that earlier. Preston Ezevito, Never Bet the Devil Your Head. Peter Gilmore, who's known for Jack the Ripper, Vampire Hunter, um, did The Pit and the Pendulum. Um, Anthony Pugh, who is an artist I met at IC3, which is an independent comic convention. strictly just independent creators. Amazing show. But I met him there. He had some artwork on his table. I'm like, oh, you know, I bought a piece of him. I'm like, oh, I'll contact you. You know, maybe you'd be interested in doing this. And so he did. He ended up doing Casca of Mondiato. That was one that I knew I wanted to be in there because that's one of my favorites. So, um, and then Ricardo Jaime, who did the cover, did the interior there for Fall of the House of Usher. Kevin Conrad, who you might know him from Kiss Psycho Circus or Spawn. He did the Premature Burial. He was one that took him a while to figure out which piece he wanted to do. And then when he's like, yeah, I'm going to do this one. I'm like, okay. And he came, and he came up with a piece, and it's amazing. Brian Bow.
Wolf and Masque, got a big chunk of those.
Yeah, Wolf and Patsy. He did Murders in the Rue Morgue. I immediately thought of him when I thought of Murders in the Rue Morgue. So I hit him up. He's like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. So Fabrizio Aiello, who he actually has his book, Horace H. Hoover, the final issue to this arc is out on Kickstarter right now. But amazing artist. And I think he came to me. I couldn't quite remember this, but we had talked about it recently, and he said that I had sent him a couple of choices, and one of them was the oval portrait. And he read it, and he was just blown away. He had never read it before, and he's like, I totally need to do this one. I'm like, all right. So he did an amazing job on that one. Richie Acosta, who we had seen the original pencils there. This is the inked with the red. And he is known. He did this iconic Daredevil cover with Daredevil swinging. I actually just posted it recently on X, but Daredevil swinging through, coming off a building, and there's a giant skull in the back. I think it might be Taskmaster or something. I can't remember who the character is that's on there, but it's a really cool cover. But he's been doing he recently did a number of things for some indie creators, covers and things. So I ran into him at that same show, that IC3 show. He just happened to be talking to somebody else, and I'm like, he was showing his portfolio. I'm like, I could, I'm looking for some guys. So yeah, he ended up doing that.
Flavors the brave. He seized on the moment.
Yep, exactly. And then Elliot Rodriguez, he did this promo piece for me that I've been using, and I'm like, this is so good, it's got to go somewhere. So it's going on the back cover. The inside back cover is going to be the winner of the art contest. So
very good. The winner of the art contest. Again, we like the way you're giving the chance there for fellow artists, fellow creators, fellow readers, fellow fans to get involved and be part of it. That's how we do things in indie comics. We do this. We give people a chance to come together without all that noise, and we don't need all that drama farming. What we need is to give people a reason, a narrative reason, a storytelling reason to connect. And you're giving people that reason with an art contest. You're getting people creatively involved in your book.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
And then you've got the other team here, writers.
Yes,
they might be.
I did a little bit of writing, but and then the graphic design, the overall look of the book, Jim Whitting did. He's got his own comic, Margot, the Intergalactic. I always mess this up. The Intergalactic Trash Collector. Yeah, so he does his own comics too, but he's a graphic designer. He's done a lot of collections of old horror magazines and stuff. He's worked with Fantagraphics. I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but
Fantagraphics, oh yes,
yeah.
Stalwart of the 80s. Yeah, Fantagraphics, remember them.
Yeah, they released like hardcovers of collected editions of old black and white horror magazines and stuff, and so he's worked on a lot of that stuff. Dave Kemp did all the interior reds, and Christian Rossi on the sequential pages. Keith Gleason on letters, and you can see there me and Luke Stone worked on the character design and the logo. I don't know if I gave. Yeah, I don't want to take too much credit for myself on the logo. I think all I did was kind of give him a couple of logos that I liked and said, "Hey, something similar to this." And so,
But trade dress, it's something we often pick up on when we do our chats at the Five Pillars Storytelling Live. Trade dress, it's so important to have that keystone to communicate those big letters. This is the style of a narrative. This is the portal. You've got to get past this trade dress, the cover. That's your way into the book, isn't it? In the style of the narrative that's in your head.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So it's a big team.
It is. It's a substantial team. Happy with the results?
Yeah.
Yeah. You bet you've got a lot of killer names there from the indie comics community, many of whom we've heard, and we've certainly backed one or two for sure.
As Death Metal Hero said, it's a murderer's row of indie artists. So I love that.
Amen to that. Very good. Very good. And yeah, Luke Stone, head of Fund My Comic, the indie crowdfunder, specialist indie comic crowdfunder of choice with low commission rates. And we bought his Hybrid Gods. We like that. One day we'll do a review of that. We like it. Like his art. He's certainly a foundational keystone in indie comics, along with Peter Simetti of Alterna Comics. The Indie Comics Whisperer has been doing this for probably 20 years as we speak. We had him on the show, and the way that Luke Stone backed Peter with a campaign for my comics for newsprint, when Peter got going, we suggested, Peter, why can't you do printing? It's the one piece that's missing from your hegemony. And he said, oh, I'm not too sure. And we got DMing and dropped a few hints and said, have you heard of these guys? And, yeah, and before we knew it, there's a cocktail of people speaking to him, and he's got a crowdfunder running whereby, hey guys, I can get the kit together for 200 issue print runs for newsprint. Back me. People did, and now there's no excuse now. If you want a newsprint edition, you can go to Peter Simetti. You've got low commission rates provided by Luke Stones of Fund My Comic. I mean, all the pieces that we wanted, all the planets are now in alignment. If you want to create an indie comic, even if you don't want to do the cost of going to print, you can still just go digital only. And there's so many ways of distributing through the 4 key social media platforms, your own website, print on demand if you want to do physical stuff. I mean, it's all there for you. What do you think, Dr. Masque?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember how early I was pretty early on. I backed that. Hey, John.
Hello, John. Good to hear from you. How you doing? So you were saying, Doctor?
Yeah, no, I backed that campaign early on. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be cool, and I'm going to do a book, and I want newsprint. So it was kind of a no-brainer. So yeah, I'm hoping to have the newsprint books in my hand within the next month or so. So that would be awesome. But because I have everything ready. That's the other thing I didn't say about this book, but this book is pretty much done.
Pretty much done.
Yep.
That's cool. Do you know what? Peter Simetti and ourselves, when he was on the show, we spent a good 5 minutes just talking about the smell of newsprint. we were lost in the moment. No wonder the chat went about 3 hours. I think he was waiting for a bit. I think he was ready to jump out of his big glass window like the Simpsons lawyer. We really took him to, well, he's got so much experience. We had to talk to him and talk about, well, that journey he'd been through. And it's like your own journey. We like to give guests time. We don't like talking at all. We don't like looking in the mirror. We just want to ask the question and let the guest do the speaking. Where do guys go to speak and get somebody to listen to them?
Yep, 100%.
It's cathartic. It's catharsism, is what we say, and that we like to make it 100% laser focused on you. Now then, why do you create indie comics? Is it the freedom? Is it the power?
it's I it's the fast cars and, hot women, that's why.
Of course.
No, uh, you know, this is something you dream about when you're a kid, and you go through that whole, oh, I'm going to create a comic, and I don't know how many people did when they were younger create their own comics. I mean, I know I wrote some comics, and my drawing was always terrible. I remember I did a few comic strips, but they weren't good either. But yeah, you always dream about doing that. And at one point, I had actually submitted an idea to Marvel Comics, and oddly enough, that was crazy because I got a letter back saying, "Hey, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This is not good. Resubmit." So I actually got a letter that said, "Hey, try it again. You might have something here." And I submitted again and never heard from him again. But at least I got that. It's a story I can tell anyway. Um, but yeah. So from there, I just I've been writing all this time and not really doing anything with the stuff I'm writing. So this seems just like a perfect time. Like if I want to, not that I'm going to write a novel, but if I wanted to print a collection of short stories, or like I had mentioned, I have poems that I want to publish. It's
Mm.
so easy to do now. You can just there's so many options. Even if you just like we had talked about, if you want to just do a digital version, you can do that. You
Yeah.
know, whatever. So to me, it just seemed like uh, a good time. Maybe the best time was a year ago, but you know what? The next best time is today. So uh,
Exactly. Uh,
so here we
when
are.
was Dr. Mask? Now, when was Azrael, as Grok brutally told us, with refreshing honesty, as he held up mirror? He said, Azrael is now.
Yep, for sure.
For sure.
So yeah, so I don't know. It's just a passion. It's just a way to get my writing out there. It's a way to be creative too. Like I always want to be creative. Previously, like maybe like, and I still do it, but for like 4 or 5 years, I got deep into board game design. So
Okay,
that
tell
was
us
my
more.
out.
Tell us more. You can't just drop that in and not explore it. Come on, let's hear a little bit
Well,
about that. We are the five plus of storytelling. We're art, comics, movies, games, and
games.
toys. Tell us more.
Yeah. So, well, like I said before, for some reason I'm highly motivated by negative things, and I had a friend who had a card game, and we played this card game. I'm like, this is the worst freaking game I've ever seen. And I'm like, I can do better than this. And I've loved games for a long.
John's chipping in. Come on, John. Let's have it because we know he's a mad gamer. He loves his Crystal Madness games. He does his
Well,
RPGing with his mates on a Sunday. Is that right, John? Or Saturday night or Friday night? I remember it's
yeah, yeah.
one of the long weekend sessions he has. So on board games, any games I would know. So tell us more, please, Doctor
Oh
Matt. What
yeah,
don't
no,
you know?
nothing that was published. But I mean, like I said, I've spent a lot of time learning it. I have two games now that I feel like are ready that I could. I actually, before I started doing this comic, I'm like, okay, this game is ready to go. I'm gonna do this, and I reached out to get a graphic designer for the cards and stuff because I kind of had a basic, you know, prototype, and there was a number of things. One of them was cost. I'm like, "Wait a minute, it's gonna cost me that much to hire a graphic designer to do 20 f I mean, it's not even 20 it not even 25 cards. I'm just like I'm trying to remember how many cards it is now, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But so I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna do the comic I wanted to do, and I'll come back to the game. Because I'm not. At first I'm like, oh, you pitch to a company, and they take your game, and I'm like, but then I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, you pitch your game to a company, they say, yep, this is a cool game, we're going to take it. You could sit around for a year or 2 years before that game ever even comes out, and then when it comes out, it might not resemble anything of what you created, and I'm just too stubborn to do that. So I'm like, if I'm going to put something out and put my name on it, then it's going to be something, you know, that I did that's true to my vision. Then, you know. So
This is where John and you, hopefully, Azrael,
I'm going to be on John's
hopefully
show tomorrow.
is the A word. No, not that. You know what your readers at the back. Authenticity. That's something where we can beat the corporations on, offering a personal, authentic vision. Yeah.
Yep.
Personal, authentic vision. Be authentic. Just be yourself. One of the reasons why John's long box is so great, he's just himself. In fact, for a good long time, we used to just listen to John's long box podcast while we were in the bath. Great to listen to while you're just
Hmm.
relaxing, because he's got a very modest, just himself demeanor, where he just, and that rubs off on the guests. The guests can relax and just be themselves. Yeah.
Hmm. Yep.
And obviously he's gone and made his own comic books, indie comic books with Heroic Tales. And just a quick shout out, we did the trailers for issues 1 and 2 of his book.
Oh,
Just
nice.
saying, and we love doing them. And
Fine trailers they are.
well, thank you very much. And he kept us on for the second one. And hey, we worked with him on the second one, just little details, and we were with him till the small hours, but we wanted to get it just right for him, because it counts. He's a voice in the community, and every creator, like you're talking about, the Dr. Masque, has the vision, and that you won't put your name to a game unless it's right. And rather than some selling options to a movie and they're going to make it into, we don't know, whatever kind of Frankenstein's mutation monster they want to make the, shall we say, points, didactic points that we've all got to believe in,
Yep.
the tail wagging the dog, so to speak.
Yep.
So anyway, if you want something doing right, is the old-fashioned saying, do it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
you did Dr. Masque, you are doing. John's Longbox has done, along with the beautiful Sunshine Parisian art by Renzo Rodriguez. If you haven't checked it out, folks, Heroic Tales, we backed 1 and 2 digital. We will do paper one day, we're pretty sure we will. And we're looking forward to Heroic Tales 3. We're sure there will be. And he's got this unusual flip book style where there's a backup story in the back. You flip the cover and then you can read the second part of the book. But yes, so tell us more about this game anyway. You want to do this game, and is it based off Edgar Allan Poe, or is it a different concept entirely?
Yeah, it's never bet the devil your head. It's so the story is around um different sins, right? This guy is not, he's a retrobate, it's a funny story, but he's a retrobate. And so he gambles, he hangs out with women, he drinks, and he gambles, um so that's what so the game is a trick taking game, which if you've ever played like Hearts or Pitch, or I'm trying to think of other like common ones, but um
Patience and Snap are about our game. We did poker once and we got hammered.
okay. But anyway, so it's a card game, and then the way the suits are each one of those sins, and then you bet, and it's at points in the game you can bet your head, and if you bet your head and you win, then you get all these bonus points, but if you lose your head. And would kind of make sense. If you lost your head, you'd be out of the game, but I don't like those kind of mechanics in the game. I want everybody to be playing the game and not sitting around. So, you just lose your head. So you lose that option to get any bonus points. And then at the end of the game, as you're going through, you're building another hand of cards. So you get dealt 5 cards. You're only playing 4 in each round. You keep a card for the end game, and then you play the end hand and score different points. And then whoever has the highest points wins.
John's Longbox, hopefully that answered your question.
If not, we'll chat.
Hey, John's a great guy to chat on. Have you ever been on this show?
I'm supposed to be on tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow at noon, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be able to engage in game battle
Yes.
tomorrow, where he will probably throw a few more incisive questions at you regarding the gaming mechanics.
Yep.
You might just about get out there alive. No, we like
Yep,
John, and you'll have some great gaming questions with him for sure.
be great.
Now, what advice would you give aspiring creators, Dr. Mask?
Um, I would one thing I would say is, practice your craft, whatever it is. If you're an artist, draw. If you're a writer, write. If you're whatever, just do it. If you're a musician, make music. But another thing I would say is don't wait till you think you're ready or till you think it's perfect, because you're going to be sitting around forever. I mean, I feel like maybe I waited too long too, but you know what? Here we are. But at this stage, I'm just like full steam ahead. I gave you a list of the things I want to do, and I feel like, especially with this model that I have for the comic, if I, the next 3 volumes or 2 volumes that I'm doing of this, I feel like I get the right people on board, the right artists, I can get one out. I could maybe do two a year, so because everybody can be working on it at the same time,
Got you.
so but yeah, don't wait. um I guess one thing I did learn is recently is just, get out there more, don't be afraid, uh
Yeah.
meet people, you know don't be afraid to show your face.
Yeah, that was the thing with us. It took us half a year to actually do the podcast for that very reason. Very shy.
Yeah, it's I think my main reason was there's a lot of strange people out there, right? Um, but I found even myself watching streams and stuff, it's just more engaging, to talk to people. And if I'm gonna try to talk you into, if I'm telling you about my project or product, you know, I think it's, you're more likely, to be interested if you see me than
Yes.
just a picture.
Then
So,
just a picture or an avatar. Storytelling, we come back to this again, is about personal connections.
yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
We like John. He puts out a book. It's of an exceptional quality. We'll back it. Why not? And sometimes it's the creator, sometimes it's the product. Sometimes you believe in the cause they fight for at the wide
Hmm.
frontier in your comics, yeah?
Yep.
It can be the passion, courage, or conviction, which mirror those things we just talked about. And what do you do when you get to know people? You become friends with them. You might think, oh, I'll give that a try, even if I only buy one, or I'll buy it for a friend. He's into comics, or they're into
Hmm.
comics, or she's into comics, yeah? So it's about creating that personal connection. If people don't know you, how can you expect them to trust you? And it boils down to storytelling trust at the end of the day. You have to start somewhere, building that storytelling trust. So putting your face out there, putting down that first brick of your keystone out there, build out your foundation, and then add bricks. So another brick in the wall, as the song says, yeah? Of
Yep.
course.
That's what some say.
Right. Here we go. We're getting towards the twilight of our show, but we can't resist asking this question, the final of our big five. What superhero would you be, Dr. Mask? We'd be down for a bit of Linton Carter carrying us over the threshold, or being Wonder Woman as just a character came back to us. If it wasn't the TV show, it would be the comic, which we caught whenever the really lousy DC distribution caught up with us. They just drive in a big pile at the local newsagents, and then we wouldn't see them again for about another 3 or 4 months. It's very hard to actually get every single edition of Gene Colan's Wonder Woman. We liked it
Wow.
the way he did Wonder Woman. And the other one would be obviously Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, of course. Who would you be? We're stalling there, so you have a little think. Which superhero would you be, Dr. Mask?
Well, it's hard not to say Batman since I'm sitting in a room filled with Batman stuff. Um, so that would be one. Another that I would love just because I love the costume design and the craziness is the Creeper.
Okay. Oh, Steve Ditko.
Yeah, loved
That,
it.
that that's kind of the hybrid segue, isn't it, for you between your horror stuff and your superhero stuff?
Yeah.
Obviously, Batman, by any other name, is the Shadow. by another name could be some kind of ghostly shadow of Shelley's Frankenstein, or Bram Stoker's Dracula, perhaps more
Right.
appropriate. You
Yep.
can almost see the threads there, you know.
Yep. Yep.
So
For sure.
it's November, by the way, tonight, and we're going with a very controversial, seeing as it's St Andrew's Day to celebrate Scotland. So we're going with a very controversial noir choice tonight. Won't reveal what it is just yet, but it'll be up later as our last post of the day. I'm going to post a very controversial noir movie. And we did put up a indie comic promo based off Frankenstein, obviously the Universal classic. You know, I mean, doesn't get much noir than that.
No.
The corruption between science and God's creation, of course.
Yep. Yep.
The hubris. Who would ever thought that scientists would expect you to follow them, and the hubris would be so prevalent during the darkness wars, which we could not talk about during the last 5 years?
Mm.
Azrael, back on topic before you get a knock.
That's another show for sure.
That's another shot. It could be discerned. That's not going to get us in trouble, as it says, speaking to his lawyer very quickly. Said we're walking a very tight, fine line, the way things are at the moment in our humble country. So anyway, yes, Batman, great choice. Who's your Batman? Adam West for us. And then, of course, it would be, we're Keatonian after that. Yourself?
Live action Batman? It's hard to say. I mean, I do love Adam West, where I loved him as a kid. Then as a teenager, I'm like, that's terrible. Then, you know, I always liked Keaton. I like Christian Bale as well. So
comic favorite Batman artist. Got one?
Artist.
It's
my
Aparo. Ours is Jim Aparo.
Okay, I was gonna say growing up, it was Aparo was my Batman, you know.
It was our first one with Batman getting out the cryogenic freezer and Dr. Freeze boasting with his freeze ray gun.
You know which one I always remember, and I can never really remember the first comic I had because I always felt like I always had comics, but I can't remember as detective or Batman, but it's a statue crashing, and then there's a skeleton inside the statue, and Batman's, you know, on the side there. I always remember that one, but
you never forget your first Batman comic. It's indelibly etched into your head, isn't it? That was our first one that we owned. We read that one until the cover fell off.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I think going back though, I really like Dick Sprang stuff too.
Dick Sprang, iconic. Look, iconic. A product of its era, a celebration of the now.
Yep.
When the past
and then going forward, I hate to answer a one word answer with a bunch, but going forward, Norm Breyfogle was the one I always loved too.
Yeah, he had a good long run, and he kind of went back to that almost Bram Stokerian kind of gothic noir shadow kind of aspect, kind of like a kind of more of his pulp roots, like the Shadow, like you're saying there.
Yep.
Bonus questions, not too many. You won't need the lawyer or the big glass window. Right then, number 6. What are your plans for Besprinkled with Scarlet going forwards?
So like I had said, there's going to be 3 volumes. The next volume is A Dream Within a Dream. The 3rd volume, I don't have a name for yet. But at the end, we'll have 3 good-sized volumes of Poe-centric stuff. The next book, instead of 2 pages of sequentials, I'm going to write an 8-page story. So we'll have like 4 pages at the beginning, 4 pages at the end. Maybe I'll sprinkle them, no pun intended, throughout, but we'll see how it works. But the story as of now is, and then you need to go read this now, but it's Dr. Masque interacting with characters from Hop Frog. So,
okay. Favorite pizza? Nice and simple one. Right now, we just put our left hand on the pizza and just start eating, just face down into it. Don't worry, folks. This is our drawing hand. This one's safe. We're not going to touch that one.
It's funny. I'm going to have pizza for dinner tonight too. But personally,
Masque, come on now. What's going on that pizza? now they Now the question takes on a deeper, more sinister meaning.
It's see, it's different if you're buying a pizza just for yourself than if you're buying a pizza for the family, right? So generally we just get like a pizza with half cheese because my son doesn't eat anything on his, and then half pepperoni. But me, I want as much meat on that pizza as you can put on that pizza.
Of course, absolutely.
I
Man
do
eat.
like peppers and onions too, but
Tell you what, that sounds very nice right now. We could certainly go for 4 toppings of cheese and onions and pepperoni. And do you know what? We think we might be slightly hungry. Right, we hear you. Gotta love pizza. Now, where can we find out more info about Dr. Masque and his Poe indie comic book?
yeah, X is probably the best spot. Obviously the campaign's on Fund My Comic. I do have an Instagram account which I post on. I've mostly been posting stuff about the book. Um, I also have an eBay store. Everything's under Dr. Mask Retro. Um, what else do I
eBay, good for selling. That's one or two have said I've started to pick up on using eBay.
have? Well, I've been selling on eBay for like 25 years. So it's it, so I for years I just bought and sold stuff. Like I would go to garage sales and pick things up and resell them, if I came across anything good or whatever. Sometimes I would buy something, keep it for a while, and you know, then sell it. I I tend to buy a lot of horror comics. I collect Batman, but I don't collect horror comics. So I'll buy a bunch of horror comics, read them, and then resell them. It's just keep it going. But yeah, I'm on. Yeah, so if you're worried about fulfillment, I've been fulfilling for like 25 years. So maybe not at this, all at once as much, but yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. And if you were to look at my eBay feedback as 100%, I've never had anything bad. But yeah, I think I'm on Substack too, but still have yet to figure that platform out. So you got issues too.
Tell you what, uh, you got issue 2. What do we think? We think it looks drop dead gorgeous. As for a review of the story, I mean, and the flip format, well, it's digital, obviously not like the paper edition. It looks absolutely drop dead gorgeous. As for a review of the book, we think we finally got a format of indie comic reviews that we're going to be happy with. Having looking over our X posts and what people identify with most popular posts, where we offer our particular brand of word magery. We think we've got a format that might just work for us. After all, you've got people like Crenshaw out there doing 1-minute reviews that look great, sound great with his velvet voice, and he's quite direct. And his reviews are just, we call them the Richard Burton of indie comic reviews. Chris now coined it, said it. And we actually liked about 20 of them. He seems to have upped his output, and I think he's done loads of indie comic reviews, and we'll certainly be doing one for Heroic Tales 1 and 2. But what do I think? What do we think? We think it's drop dead gorgeous. Renzo Rodriguez artwork shines in both. Do you know what? You flick through it, but you flick through it very slowly because Renzo Rodriguez. Yeah. You know how to tell a story. And we'll probably debut our reviews with Heroic Tales. What do you think, John? And then we'll tell you exactly what we think. By the way, one of our things that we do, John and Dr. Masque, is when we talk about things, and we mentioned this on our live show last week, is if we haven't got anything positive to say, we won't say it. The way we deal with social media, our echo chamber is grace, gentleness, and generosity. And so whatever comments we have, we will focus on the strengths of your book. We find that indie creators, they know if something doesn't quite hit the bar they're after, they don't need telling from us. So we're very much have a very positive ethos in terms of what we think about books. Heroic Tales has got two things going for it. Well, the whole creative team, of course, because John knows what he wants, because he's very much like us. Dr. Masque, he's a product of the Bronze Era, when things were sane, where you had morality, and yeah, you had the conflict between good and evil, but there was resolution in terms of the classic underpinnings of Western civilization. And we feel John, with his degree, I think, in the classics, you had John's Lombok, yeah, John Boer, and we think he carries those proud traditions of Western civilization's classical storytelling into his book. It's evident, yeah. You've got a positive dad figure. You go to supposedly the mass media were trust us at an all-time. Can we say trust us at an all-time low? We can't say that. So I retract a former statement. What we're saying is those you might not hear good tales about good dads because it doesn't fit the narrative. So we'll say John's book is an excellent example of positive father figures, a good husband, a good father to his children, all of that sort of stuff. It's oxygen, and it permeates the pores of heroic tales. A hero who is middle-aged, like a lot of the, with all due respect, a lot of the creators we get, male creators we got on the show, are 29. Especially us, we're quite sensitive about our age, having been raised by 11, count them, 11 graceful but feisty women. And there's all of that in indie comics, yeah? The Bronze Era is still with us. Poe, classical civilization, bedrock of storytelling, the classics. Go to these. The mythologies of the past can support us in creating mythologies of the future. Where do we think Jack Kirby created the Jack Kirby universe? Said it live on air. Can we get in trouble for that one? Don't think so. Or, sorry, we should say it like this. We don't think so. So, yes. What do we think of Heroic Tales? Our initial verdict is drop dead gorgeous, John's Lombox. Hello, Master Brink, Dave at Genuine Comics. We're just finishing a extended exposition and some verbosity on answering a question from John's Lombox. He wanted a preview of what we thought of Heroic Tales 2. And our short summation, a triad of words, drop dead gorgeous. A bit like your own books, Dave. Safeguard is latest one. We had Dave on the show last week. Privilege and honor to have him on the show when he was taking a temporary sabbatical after having done 200 live podcasts. Congratulations on that mega achievement, Dave Brink. Dave Brink, before we call time on this show and say goodbye to our beloved Dr. Masque, have you got an incisive sword of Damocles question for our guests? It could be about anything. It could be about how the campaign's going, about Poe. It could be about the anthology format, the mixture. If you catch the live stream, you'll later, he's got that kind of Watchman idea of including text. Good way of capturing the book lovers out there. Post text, a bit like the articles from the Watchman, which were text, weren't they? After you had the comic strip, he's got a massive team he's assembled of indie comics luminaries creators to actually get involved in his book. Have you got any question at all, Dave at Genuine Comics? Who, by the way, folks, you got to see him command his convention table. It took us 2 strikes with Grok to land that picture. We spent an hour looking for it manually, and then we just thought, why don't you just ask Grok? There's got to be a use for AI. We're not sure what it's going to be used for, but it's going to be used to find Dave Brink commanding with authority his convention table. So he's there, and it's kind of a long, kind of like panning shot, and there's him just hand reaching over, and he's speaking to his customer and his fan. And we thought, that's how you do it. Battle General Brink, giving it to his fans, and all the comic books are open on his convention table, which looks as wide as the cathedral is long. So here we go. We were stalling there, giving Dave Brink time. Do you notice we do that now and again? Yes, just a bit. Right, for once, I don't know what to ask Kyle. I have to watch the stream to get to know your guest. Absolutely. And that's what we say. That's actually a brilliant comment to end on, actually. because what we do on our show is we try and make it 100% laser focused on the guest. It's a psychiatrist couch. Tell us about your father. It's a chance for guys to speak. It's cathartic. It's catharsism, whereby you get to know the creator. And if you identify with the creator, as Dr. Masque has already indicated, you get to know somebody, begin to trust them. And that's how indie comics can take the battle at the wild frontier of indie comics to the not so big two anymore. Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there, Dave, at Genuine Comics. Watch the restream, get to know the guest, and then maybe you can ask him a question on John's Longbox podcast. For you, John, tomorrow, and maybe Dave, you can have a nice relaxing bath and listen to John's Longbox on the
There you go.
Don't do that. It probably sounds strange. So anyway, on that note, we should go to a next and final slide. Thanks for the comment, by the way, Dave. Thanks, Dave, for entering chat. Always good to see you here. He's put there, hello friends. Yeah, Dave Brink is not only does he create the vanguard of indie comics, he promos other people. This is where we get good karma. We like Michael Ferraro of Cool It, promoting other people, giving with gratitude, just loving being part of it, giving with grace, and hopefully putting out that good karma. It comes back to us, getting people involved in the community, a rising tide lifts all boats. You know what I mean? If Dave has success with 200 podcasts, I celebrate that. Why do we celebrate that? Because his victory is our victory. Yeah,
100%.
100%. And I was expecting guests to be more mysterious wearing a mask. Well, you know, we did want to say that, but now you bring it up. You know what I mean? Yes, you know what I mean? Just, hey, you know, maybe you never know. He might have a surprise for John's Longbox now that he's saying that. You know, Vincent Price style. You know, the red mask, huh? You never know. He might surprise us. We'll see.
That'll be the next thing on the table. Will be Dr. Masque's masks. You know?
Well, we are going to push him to create a horror top Trump based off the mask, and we're thinking maybe a red vinyl edition of some Poe heavy metal, if you can find the right heavy metal indie band to commission. Now, look, Dr. Masque, it's been a pleasure having you on. You're exactly the reason why we do this show. You know, we want guys and gals. Hey, ladies, if you're out there, you're thinking, hey, we never get asked. Well, we'll ask. We're going to ask somebody. We won't say who. We're going to ask somebody, and we'll see if she says yes. Let's see how daring she actually is. Nice. He says critically. Right. Thank you for being our special guest.
Right, thanks for
green light. No problem, sir. Great having you. We wish you well, Dr. Masque, with your Poe indie book, and we say Godspeed to you. We say please like, comment, and subscribe to The Good Doctor on X. He's on there, and give the 5 Pillars of Storytelling a like as well. Give us a sub on our YouTube. We're hanging around about 166. We want to get to the next bulkhead of 170. Obviously looking for 200 on the distant horizon. On X, we're around about 5,574 followers. Wow. If you can just give us one and give us a little boost. We embrace communities of all sorts, all types, you know what I mean? Looking towards the east and our Japanese cousins and brothers and sisters and friends over there, you know what I mean? Have a good week, says Dave at Genuine Comics. You have a good week too, Dave Brink at Genuine Comics. Always good to see you on the show and see you on X and brother. Right then, so now we'll play our outro music. We'll just say one more time, Dr. Masque Retro, a pleasure and privilege to have you on the show. And thank you very much for your valuable time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.